So tonight's debate at the Math and Science Technology Magnet was super exciting, and okay. I'm just realizing how ridiculous that sounds. I was sitting in the cafeteria for 2 hours on a Tuesday night while my friends were probably starting like garage punk bands or something. It was super exciting if you went to the last one, and if you know Amir Omar's debate style, I think that it was finally we saw like actual sparring. We saw what the future debates are going to be like. I think tonight was kind of a good example of not just kind of one person being on their game and the other one not being on their game. Like, we saw two really strong candidates coming out and just cleaning the floor with each other. I took a bajillion, you can't see any of it. I took a bajillion notes, but, which I don't even know if that's an actual number of whatever. It's probably what like our national debt is. I took a bajillion notes, and going back through, it was funny because it was basically whoever answered the question first was the one who I think was at the disadvantage, because then the second person would come in and kind of clean it up and no, and that's not what it meant, and you know, ultimately it's this and whatever. But as I tallied them up, again, biased Amir supporter, he just whooped up on Laura. She did good. She held her ground. And I'm really careful to ever... I hated when I ran Conserve and Protect that anytime I had a strong opinion, it's because I was a woman or I was being swayed like by my sexual desire. Like, ridiculous, completely redunk stuff. I don't want to do that to Laura. She was aggressive tonight. I think she was also aggressive last week, though. There's a difference, though, between being that and kind of emotional, and I don't think it was just, like, I don't think it was because she's a female and, you know, got the vapors. Like, it wasn't one of those. It was, she was being super defensive. I think, like, came out just right off the bat, very defensive and ready for what was about to happen. And how could you not be? I mean, after the last debate, she had to have known that Amir was probably going to bring it this time, which thank God he did. And so she was already kind of riled up. With that, I'll say, if you were at the first one, you probably had an opinion already. I noticed that this one was definitely a third of the size of the Canyon Creek Country Club debate. This one was much, much smaller. However, it was a more mixed group. There's still a lot of old white people, which I know I saw comments on David's blog about how that makes me smug. I think that's hilarious. Like, you have to understand, I am like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant myself. I married into a Hispanic family who are better educated than me and everything else, but I'm white. So when I'm making fun of white people, like, I'm making fun of like my people. The only minority distinction I have is being a female, which is why I should line up as a Laura supporter, if anything. So I'm not brown. This is from a box. Okay, so all that aside, I dye my hair. Tonight's debate, there were more, it was a variety of people in the room. So you actually saw a couple black people, which I don't know if they got like checked at the door at the last place and weren't allowed to come in, and somebody just handed in their golf clubs and walked off, maybe is what happened there. But this time we actually saw some of the wonderful like community that exists here in Richardson. The cool thing about that is I grew up in the Canyon Creek area. Actually, my grandparents lived there, so I was always in that area, and as far as I knew, that was Richardson. And it is very, like, manicured lawns and beautiful and all that, and I love Canyon Creek. Like, no offense to any of that. But now I live here in Cottonwood Heights, which is right next to Heights neighborhood. It's so many awesome creative people. Like, there's such a cool thing that I think we don't realize the city brings, and this is probably why you're going to find more Amir supporters here, because it's your yo pros. It's like the young professionals who are DJs and writers and actors and music therapists. I mean, it's like people just doing really cool creative stuff, and probably, I mean, in the 20 to 30 demographic, young kids, stuff like that. Versus Canyon Creek is going to be more of the mature families who are in, you know, IT and probably came here because of that. So it's just a different demographic. Yet here in my neighborhood, some of the concerns we have are crime. And that's something that you don't see a lot north of here. So we've got Weathered runs through the neighborhood directly adjacent to me. And, you know, it's like I'm on the neighborhood group and we're seeing things where people are posting that, like, there was some dude who was running and he's hiding under my deck right now and my dog scared him off and the cops are here and stuff. I don't think a lot of people in Canyon Creek necessarily have to deal with that. Like, they just don't. We do here. So tonight, one of the cool points I think Amir hit a few times was talking about crime and how we could just be better. He made a comment that really stuck out to me, that, you know, if you're going through a town where you know that there is a speed trap, you slow down in that town. And the fact, and I didn't realize this, but the fact that there are people here dealing narcotics or whatever, drug dealers who know that we do not have a narcotics unit, I never would have thought about that. To me, that's kind of one of those fancy things you add, but I didn't realize that people actually knew we didn't have one. And so Richardson's like a safe city when it comes to narcotics. And suddenly that became a priority, where in the last debate, when he said it, I was like, you know, it would be nice to have a narcotics unit, I guess, but I don't think we need one. When he said it this time, suddenly it pointed out to me, like, if criminals are aware of that, that makes a lot of sense. It especially makes a lot of sense along Spring Valley, which is pretty close to me. So, I think he won points on that one. I think, as I said, the back and forth was really good tonight. Laura seemed condescending, which is funny because condescension, like, I actually love. I've found that it's a really good technique and strategy. It's something where when you want to just debase the other person, make them seem like they don't know what they're talking about, and not debase, that wasn't the right word. When you want to make them seem like they're not of the same intellect as you, you speak condescendingly about them. She came right out the gate by saying that, hold on, I have the direct quote here, Richardson needs a leader. And she emphasized it just like that. Richardson needs a leader. And as an AO supporter, like, it caught me off guard because, I mean, this guy's led in so many ways that why... I don't know. It's not that she's not a leader. I would like to see her running on more of her own talents than necessarily talking about his shortcomings, especially in the role of leadership, because I think that's one place he's really kind of nailed it down. Like, he's an amazing leader for the city. However, again, tonight, after listening to her, listening to what she's done with TxDOT and everything, I'm convinced... You know what? I left convinced that either way, this city is going to lose a really good person. Like, whether it's Amir or whether it's Laura, we have got the only two strong candidates, unfortunately, right now battling it out for mayor. And I think that sucks. Not that the direct election sucks. Like, we definitely need to have that. It's time. I get all that. But... we're going to lose two of our strongest, or one of our strongest players right now between these two, because all of the other people on council, they're good. They show up to meetings and they toe the line and they, you know, keep our trash getting picked up, but it is not something where we necessarily have strong independent thinkers. And with Amir, we know he's off in the left field. He's allowed to kind of do what he wants now because he has broken away from the coalition. If you didn't get the email, check your spam. He is broken away. He's not allowed to use any type of endorsements from them, except for that they endorsed him a bunch before. So you might want to know that. Like, they thought he was a great fiscal conservative and everything else. But I don't know. I guess it's retroactive. I guess, like, once that quote's out there, you're not allowed to use it again. Laura... great leader too, really. Alright, this is like a confession and this sucks. Amir is my friend. I think he's amazing. I think he not only deserves it, I think he has earned it. I think everything about him should be what Richardson is moving towards. Like, having the diversity, having the young professionals, all of the amazing things he brings to the city. At the same time, as I said before, I've watched how the coalition works. I know how they work. Like, I know what's going to happen, and it sucks. It sucks to have such an amazing candidate and know that our city is about to miss out on him because we have a monarchy. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, we have King Chuck Eisman, whoever he picks to be in his court, like, they're in, and everybody else, it doesn't matter how hard you work or how much you deserve that position. Like, when you elect someone from the coalition, that's who you're electing. It's Chuck Eisman Say. And I think he cares about our city. He probably does a lot of great, I know he does a lot of great stuff for our city. But do I think he should be the sole person in charge of everything that goes on? Do I think that so many of the decisions made for the city do happen in, not on camera, behind closed doors? That's really ultimately what's happening, and it is time for the citizens to wake up. It's time for us to wake up and realize that these are the decisions that are being made, and when we vote for somebody, which unfortunately we don't even have a choice with 6 of the other spots, we are voting for coalition candidates, and it's sad. It's sad that that's where our city's at right now. I get to most people, they care about federal elections, I'll get out to support Obama or Mitt Romney, but when it comes to municipal, the things that matter to you, that are going to affect you, freaking people do not get off their asses, and it makes me insane because, unfortunately, you have Canyon Creek represented. You have the affluent Caucasian part of the city completely represented, whereas the one time we have a voice, that somebody who lives in Duck Creek, and it's a beautiful neighborhood over there, but at the same time he deals with the streets we deal with, he deals with the infrastructure problems we deal with, he has potholes, and he has cash checking places, he has check cashing places. He has all of these things over by him. He knows what a majority of Richardson's going through, and we're going to elect someone who not only lives in this area, because I will say, I do think Laura has a grip on the whole of Richardson. Unfortunately, she is being, a little birdie is in her ear telling her what to do constantly, who is got his name on giant buildings in our city. So, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I finally get it in a way I didn't before, because at one point Amir was the establishment and we were all against it, but now I'm just seeing how truly it is the establishment. It is people who are just out of touch with what our city's going through, and even if Laura has the best intentions, God, I don't know, are they just going to hang Amir's carcass on her front doorstep after the election? Don't ever cross us, this is what's going to happen to you, because that's what I feel is happening in this city, and we're all watching it. Tonight's debate was great. I wish more people gave two shits. I wish that people showed up. It will be the same group of people at every debate, and we will be super informed, and it's but literally we are voting on a king and a queen who are already firmly in their spots. It is not, it's a joke. It's a joke. Disappointing. Sorry if I'm the one to break it to you, but there's a person who clearly should be mayor. There's another person who I wish she could be in that seat, and she could have her independent thoughts and do what she wants to do. But unfortunately, I know she is just a very pretty, intelligent face being put on a ugly organization that rules the city.